Hello, this is Palagi. Thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I'm going to do a video about the AR15 system, and this is going to be based around the assumption that you might be new to the AR or perhaps just don't understand some of the terminology. So I was going to clear some of that stuff up from tip to stern here. I do want to preface the video with just by letting everybody know that obviously the AR15 is a highly controversial system. Everybody thinks they know best, and everyone has an opinion on it. I'm not here to flame on anybody. I just simply want to tell those who would like to know my take on it and what works for me. You might be asking, what are my credentials to give a video like this? I do not have credentials. I have not been in law enforcement, military, contractor. I am just a guy that likes to shoot guns. And just like anything else that you're interested in, you're going to want to know and learn more about the system, and that's exactly what I've done. So without further ado, I want to start the video here. Now, I guess we get started with whether you'd want to build or buy your system, and some of the pros and cons to each. Now, for instance, this one on top here, this is one that I had bought. Of course, I had retrofitted it, and then the rest of these are built, and I'll probably put some other ones in as well. And please forgive the camera. This is going to be a very difficult video to do on a tripod. But anyway, getting on to the task at hand here, build or buy. Now, obviously some of the pros to building an AR-15, you're going to be able to tailor, kind of custom fit to your specific needs. Now, the biggest thing is going to be to find out what you do need and what you're going to want and expect out of your rifle. Some things that aren't so great about building: if you don't know exactly what you're doing, you could end up with an unreliable rifle, and there's nothing worse than that. So if you feel that might be the case, I would strongly advise you just to go buy a rifle. Another nice thing about building is you get to know and understand your AR-15. You get to build it from the ground up. You understand how it works, and that's a huge plus as far as I'm concerned. But again, if say you went and bought an AR-15, you have a ready-made rifle right in a box. I mean, that maybe give or take rear or front sight depending on the models that you get, but for the most part it's good to go. And if anything it goes wrong with it, something wrong with it, let the manufacturer take care of it. That's a nice thing about just taking it right out of the box. So to each his own, but I've done both, and I do both again. So anyway, one of the first things to consider when purchasing an AR-15 system is whether to get a rifle that works on DI, or direct gas impingement, or a piston system. Okay, now everything on the board here is actually a direct gas impingement, and that is going to be kind of the standard. The military rifles out there, your Colts and whatnot, those are all direct gas impingement. And before we get started into the verses of DI versus piston, I want to explain what DI means and perhaps a piston. We'll start with this one right here. Now, what happens, just for those who are not aware, okay, you've got, of course, your magazine would be in, and your bullet would be chambered right here, okay? When the firing pin strikes it, obviously the bullet, I mean just the tip here, ends up going down your barrel, okay? Once it gets past your gas system here, what happens is it force feeds gas all the way back through your gas tube to your bolt carrier group into your gas key up top here, pulls it back, brings it back forward via spring, obviously, and a new round is chambered, okay? And that's direct gas impingement. Now, what are some of the cons to direct gas impingement? What's going to happen is, because of the gas and the gunk, the heat and everything that that is forced back here to reciprocate your bolt carrier group, it's going to be a dirtier system. Okay, it's going to heat up your bolt carrier group, and that's why DI systems, they like to be ran wet, your bolt carrier group wet, because that stuff is going to burn off your oil and what have you. It's not going to be a big deal, however, if you maintain your guns properly. I mean, I clean mine about every time I shoot them. I mean, I'm not anal about it, but, wipe it down, re-lube it. And I've never had a problem. I shouldn't say I've never had a problem with the DI system. I have. But anyway, that's a different story, okay? Now, with a piston system, it's going to be, I guess, somewhat similar. Maybe I can roll in a picture so you can better understand what I'm talking about. So instead of just straight gas here, what would happen, you'd have a little piston or rod, for lack of a better term, and a spring and such. Instead of the gas blowing all the way back in your bolt carrier group, the piston would bear the gas, and the piston would be responsible for knocking your bolt carrier group back and chambering the new round. Okay. Now, what is added? I mean, what do you gain by getting a piston system? Usually, I mean, in my experience, it's going to be weight, cost, and moving parts. No, I know it sounds like I'm down on the piston system. That's not the case, though. The AK-47 is a piston system. The last time I checked, it's the most reliable, one of the most reliable guns on the planet. So I'm in no way knocking it. However, the piston system is going to be more expensive by and large. Normally, it's going to be quite a bit more expensive. But the nice thing about it is because that piston is in there, all that gas and what have you is not going to end up back in in the rear of your gun, your bolt carrier group. So you're not going to get as much heat, as much dirt, and all of that. So that's definitely a plus. Where it really would come into its own in a piston system is if you're running a can on the end of it, or a suppressor for those who aren't familiar with the nomenclature. When we suppress weapons, it doesn't just suppress the sound, it has to suppress the gases and all the rest of it. So with the DI system like this, you're actually going to get more gas and carbon and everything blown out, into your face. And if you are going to run a suppressor and that's what you want to do, I would actually look into getting a piston system. Other than that, though, there is absolutely nothing wrong with direct gas impingement. Okay, now we're going to talk about the length of the gas system and kind of the importance behind that. Now all of this is just going to be kind of a quick and dirty, just so it doesn't end up a boring video. If you'd like to know more about it, I'd be happy to address any of your questions, or if it gets enough views, maybe I'll dive deeper into the subject. But the length of your gas system is going to depend on the length of your barrel. Now, the longer the barrel you have, the longer your gas system needs to be. And it comes down to what I call hang time. It's actually, I think it's technically referred to as dwell time. And what dwell time is the length your bullet is in your barrel past the gas port, but still not outside the barrel itself there, okay? So what happens, like I was explaining before when I was explaining the direct gas impingement, when your bullet, the minute it passes your gas system, it force feeds, gas back to your bolt carrier group, okay? Now, the longer your barrel is, okay, say it's out here, the longer it is, the harder it's going to slam your bolt carrier group back. Okay, now you don't want that. You don't want it to slam back too hard. And on the other end of the spectrum, if it's too short, you're not going to be getting enough gas, which is going to lead to malfunctions. Okay, so you understand what's going on. The bullet, essentially it acts like a plug. So everything behind it, that's where your gas is moving. The moment it leaves the barrel, it's no longer under pressure. Okay, so again, the longer the barrel, the more pressure it'll be, and vice versa. So anyway, for a carbine, which is going to be kind of standard, which, I don't know, 16-inch barrel is probably kind of the standard anymore. I would recommend a carbine length or probably better yet, a mid-length gas system, which is this one here. It's going to make for a little more smooth operating, as far as I'm concerned, and again, people may disagree with that. As far as twist rate is concerned, I've actually been asked this question several times before, and I would like to kind of explain my take on it. Again, this is a topic of huge debate. Again, this is just my take on it. Many might disagree with this. Okay, I own, let's see, a 1 in 7 and 1 in 9 twist. Okay, just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to be concerned with 1 in 7, 1 in 8, and 1 in 9 twist, because that's predominantly what you're going to see when you're out there shopping. Okay, and what this means, I guess we'll go to our default barrel here. What this means is the bullet is going to do 1 full revolution in 7 inches of barrel for a 1 in 7 twist. 1 in 9 same way. 1 full revolution or 1 full spin in 9 inches of barrel. Okay. Now, which one's better and what would you choose? Okay. To be perfectly honest, if I had to choose one, I would probably choose a 1 in 8, okay? Now, I don't see them very often, especially when you're building your guns. 1 in 8 twists weren't as easy for me to find. One off the top of my head, I believe that manufacturers, I think Smith & Wesson manufactures an AR with the 1 in 8 twist, and it's going to be pretty versatile. It'll stabilize just about anything, kind of the best of all worlds. Okay, but between 1 in 7 and 1 in 9 is mainly the topic of discussion, and which one's better. Okay, now people, I would say more people go with the 1 in 7 just because the military went with it, and frankly the only reason the military went with it is because of a tracer on that they were trying to stabilize. Now, just so you guys understand how this works, I'm going to be talking about it for weight, in grains. Okay, that's actually, there's more to stabilizing a bullet than the weight, but this is going to be the easiest way to explain it. Okay. So a 1 in 9 twist, I guess one thing that you would have to ask yourself, okay, and this is, I understand this is very broad and a rudimentary way of going about it, okay, but let me ask you, would you rather shoot cheap, ubiquitous ammo more accurately, or would you rather be shooting long-range precision, more expensive ammo, again, in precision, okay? If you said you'd rather just shoot the stuff off the shelf, the cheap, ubiquitous ammo better, I would go with the 1 in 9 twist, okay? And if you said precision, I'd go with the 1 in 7, okay? Now, yes, a 1 in 7 can stabilize a 55 grain bullet fine, and just as a 1 in 9 can stabilize a 77 grain, okay? But it's going to be better, for instance, a 1 in 9 is going to be better. 55 grain to, I don't know, maybe 67 I'd say is probably its best, maybe 69, and 1 in 7 is, I don't know, I'd say it's, 164 to 77 is probably going to be its best, but that's just off the top of my head. But anyway, maybe I can put up a chart that better describes this. But anyway, that is twist rate. Now let's get into the barrel itself, the barrel profile. Okay, we have what we call pencil barrels, M4 profile barrels, heavy barrels, and bull barrels. Okay, what should you choose and why? Okay, now you can see this one on the end. This is actually a pencil barrel. You can see how thin that is. It's thin all the way through. I don't have the thing up, so you're just gonna have to take my word for it. What's the positive of something like that? It's going to be a lighter weight unit. The barrel is where you get a lot of your weight, and when you run a pencil barrel, you're going to save a lot on weight. Now, some of the cons is your barrel's going to heat up fast. When your barrel heats up, your groups are going to open up. But on the other hand, if it heats up fast, it'll cool down fast as well. Okay. Secondly, the M4 profile barrel. Now you can see that's exactly what this one is. You see these cutouts here. Now this is what the military went with, and again, that's what's popular nowadays. If I were to take this off, you'd see this would be trimmed, all the way down. From what I understand, it was designed for the M203 grenade launcher, and really no more. I don't know. I do know basically this these cutouts, it's going to save you weight though, but it gives you you know, some girth in the right places. It's not a bad barrel to go with, and you can't go wrong with it. Now a heavy profile barrel, you can see it's heavy all the way through. Okay. Now of course it's, as the name implies, it's going to be a heavier barrel. However, it's going to lend itself to accuracy a little more. And then you have a bull barrel, which is going to be even thicker yet, and that is a very heavy barrel. Now that would be for hunting, or it's going to be obviously for precision. Okay, so the thicker the barrel, the more precise you're going to get, but the heavier it's going to get. So my advice would be to probably go somewhere in the middle, unless you're doing precision shooting and you have a purpose-built firearm for that. I'd probably go with a heavy profile barrel, but we'll chalk that one up to personal preference. Okay, now that we're on barrels, another thing I wanted to speak about was the lining of the barrel and what's going to be the best and where your money is going to be best served, I guess. So some of the more popular ones out there, obviously chrome lined is going to be a big one, because that's what they call mil-spec. Now I don't get too wrapped around the axle, too bent out of shape about mil-spec. There's a lot of things mil-spec that I wouldn't necessarily call high quality, but it can be just kind of a general guideline or idea of where you need to be if you don't know any better. So a chrome lined barrel is basically just as the name implies. The inside of the barrel is going to be chrome lined, okay? Supposedly it's more durable. There are people out there that say it's not necessarily the most accurate, okay? Now, melanite is another one, a melanite treated barrel, and that's, to be perfectly frank, that's probably my favorite if I had to choose, and I'll explain why here. It's going to save you money, first of all. Secondly, melanite, it's a very slick surface, and it's not going to chip or anything like that, which I've heard chrome lined barrels can chip, and once they start flaking, it just gets progressively worse. Now, no, I don't think that is a problem. If there was any one barrel type that didn't work real well or was catastrophic, trust me, we would all hear about it. I don't think you can really go wrong. I'm just simply stating that I've had wonderful luck with melanite. I don't know. I mean, maybe I just don't shoot enough. I mean, I guess barrels, when you get up in the, I don't know, 5, 10, 20,000 rounds up there, maybe it starts mattering. I don't know. But I haven't had a problem with any of them, and frankly, I don't anticipate having a problem with them. I would just go with what suits you. And then lastly, stainless, back again to the default barrel. Stainless is going to be, or said to be, the most accurate of the three. Again, if you're going long range, you may want to go with the stainless barrel. Again, that's personal preference, but again, you cannot, I don't think you can go wrong with the barrel type. Okay, as for rail systems, free float versus drop-in. Just real quick, I want to go over that. The free float is basically completely independent from the barrel. It does not touch the barrel in any way, and that's going to result in better harmonics and translates into better accuracy. And keep in mind, when I say better accuracy, even with the chrome line barrels and all the rest of it, I mean, I'm talking half MOA, okay, which is what that might bring you there, is a half MOA. For those of you who don't understand, that's about a half inch at 100 yards, okay? So if you're going long range, again, precision rifle, yes, it might be worth it to free float your barrel, okay? Now, the drop-in, nice thing about the drop-in, it's going to be easy, as the name implies, okay? One thing that you can always tell a drop-in, you're going to have a delta ring here. This is basically a spring-loaded ring. You just pull back, and then the top and bottom will just pivot down or up. And it's real quick, it's easy to change, and that's the nice thing about that. So, again, it's just going to be what you would like in your AR-15 system. Okay, real quick, I want to talk about the flat top versus the carry handle. Now, I don't have a firearm here with a carry handle on it, but if you've looked into AR15s or kind of the old style M16s, it would have a carry handle, which is actually, it doubles as a sight. Actually, the carry handle, I don't think you're supposed to carry it. I think that's just what it's called. But anyway, it doubles as a sight. I personally didn't like that, so I stayed away from it. I just like the flat top pick rail to mount optics or you know, my own sights. You know, it keeps it lower profile and such. As far as the let's see, the sight, you have your regular GI sight, which is kind of integrated into your gas block, and then you have like, for instance, you know, up here you don't see a sight at all, or right there. That's not my ideal setup right there. Honestly, I'm going to knock that gas block out and put a pick rail and integrate that into the gas block and then throw my front sight on that. Now that's, again, it's going to come down to preference, whatever you like, whatever you think looks good. The nice thing about the GI style front sight is it's there, but you know, it's there for you out of the box, but it doesn't move. So you will have to remove that if that's going to bother you while using optics, you know, especially magnified, which isn't a big deal, but to some it might be. But I just wanted to touch on those subjects real fast. Okay, another topic of discussion that I've heard a lot is M4 feed ramps. I'm not going to get too far into this. Honestly, it's just pretty much hype as far as I'm concerned. Unless you're one of the very fortunate ones that has a Class 3 license and runs fully automatic weapons, it really doesn't matter. They were designed for the faster, quicker cyclic rate of the M4, and you know, that's all they're for. For an AR15, it doesn't amount to much of anything at all. So, also, while we're here, one thing that you may want to look or consider is with your bolt carrier group. If you look at your gas key here, and you can see how these are staked here, that's one thing that you might want to look for. You want your bolt carrier group or your gas key to be properly staked. And then, of course, we already went through chrome line versus, you know, melanite or whatever. Not a big deal, but that is one thing that you may want. This is just a run-of-the-mill bolt carrier group, nothing special. They also have, you know, nickel boron and others out there. You know, you'll see them. They're nice and shiny and everything. And those are designed, I guess they have more lubricity. They're a little bit slicker. You still, as far as I'm concerned, you're still going to want to oil them. It may make it a little bit easier to clean them up, but they are more expensive. If it's just something you like the look of, or just want that extra function, then go ahead and get it. I do not have anything like that as of yet, and that might change. But you can't go wrong with just a standard bolt carrier group. Okay, now I want to talk about lower receivers really quick. I guess namely 6061 T6 versus 7075 T6. That may be a question. First of all, the T6 is the designation for the particular heat treat. But the 7075 is kind of the standard, and it's probably going to be more structurally sound. However, the former, I don't think you're going to have any problems with that whatsoever. But these are both the 7075 here. Now, as far as billet versus forged, I don't have a billet receiver. All of mine are forged. And just real quick, for those who don't know the difference, a billet receiver is basically what they do is they use just a big billet or a big block of aluminum, and they take their CNC machine and they cut out a lower receiver. Okay, with forged, what they do is they actually forge and pound the steel into the general shape of the lower receiver and then finish it off with the CNC machine. Okay, now I don't know, one I suppose could argue that the forged, which is much cheaper by the way, could even be more structurally sound, because when you are shaping and compressing molecules and what have you, it might be more structurally sound. I don't know, I cannot attest to that. Billet and forged, basically it's going to be the same stuff, but billet is going to come at a very big price. However, the one thing about billet receivers is they can look pretty neat. But other than that, I wouldn't concern myself too much with it. I think you're going to be just fine with forged. Okay, while we're talking about lower receivers, I want to just quickly address polymer versus aluminum and what's going to be better. Honestly, well, this one on the bottom here is obviously polymer. I've had good luck with both of them. I shoot both of them, love both of them. If you're looking for a rifle that's going to be heavy duty, won't let you down no matter what, I would not skimp, just go with the aluminum receiver. However, it's kind of tough to explain, but if let's say I was going shooting for the day out in the sticks, I was going to be, around my shoulder or carrying it all day, honestly, I would just go with the carbon 15 here. It's just light, it's easy into action, it's fun to shoot. They're great. I mean, for recreational, really you can't go wrong with the polymer. But again, for heavy duty use, I'd probably stick with the aluminum. Now, I was wondering myself, it's like, well, a lower receiver, where would it ever have tension? Why would it matter what the lower receiver's made out of? Upon further inspection, where kind of the pressure point is down here, back here, that's where you're going to get most of your pressure, and if there's failure, it's going to be down in this area somewhere, because your buttstock is actually putting pressure on it. So that is one thing to consider. The polymer, it's obviously going to be cheaper by quite a bit. It is lighter, which is also a positive. It's not going to rust. But on the other hand, aluminum, it's just going to be beefier, and it probably will not let you down. So there you have it. Again, down to personal preference, but I just wanted to run over that real fast. I've also been asked about the dust cover and the forward assist. For those who don't know what that is, this is the dust cover. It's kind of a spring-loaded thing that you can close up so nothing's getting inside your bolt carrier group. Then your forward assist is designed if your bolt isn't all the way into battery, you just tap that and it'll do that for you. I have used it, I think, one time. So if it's absolutely necessary, if you were to ask me that, I'd say no, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. If it's coming on your rifle anyway, yeah, it's nice to have. All of mine have it, and I'd probably take it. But I've seen like that M&P Sport that doesn't sport it, so to speak. But I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's supposed to be a reliable rifle. It gets great reviews. Not a big deal. Again, preference. If you're going for a look, or if it's something that you want to get it, if you can't afford it or it's not a big deal to you, again, I don't think it's going to be any big deal. Okay, the last thing I'd like to address in this video is the buttstock and the buffer tube on your AR15. We have mil-spec versus commercial, and you're going to want to know which one you have before you go and buy a buttstock. I guess the best way to differentiate the two is, well, a few different ways. With a mil-spec, which both of these on the table are, it's actually going to be a shorter buffer tube. Also, if you notice here, it's flat right here, where a commercial would be slanted a little bit. Also, the spaces here, the holes, are roughly a little over 1/3 of an inch, I believe. Where on the commercial, it's closer to a 1/2 inch. I also believe that the threads, where your castle nut is here and all of that, I believe that is different as well. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your views. If there's anything that you think I might be able to help you with, or have any questions, please feel free to comment. I guess until next time, this is Chase signing off.